Good morning.
Good morning, Nudelberg Daily Huddle.
Guess what? We're back. You can't get rid of us.
I mean, you could. They could just turn off.
You can try, but we're going to show up somewhere on your feed.
That's a fact. We win.
I'm blind and I don't like what I think I see.
Good morning, Nudelberg Daily Huddle. How we doing, guys?
So, Mark, what do you say we take it to the streets today, baby?
That time to go on a Monday. Let's do it.
Let's just let this roll for a minute because this is my favorite. You will find him everywhere.
The regular crowd shuffles in.
Here's a wild one. So Mark's lady did not know much about the Doobie Brothers. How old am I, man? What's the story, man?
So, shout out to Andy Hill and his gal Lena. We had an unbelievable time at Rose's Daughter in Delray on Saturday night. Good morning, Carrie Schifris. Happy birthday to you, my friend.
Birthday shout out.
A Daily Huddle birthday shout out to you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. But so we had the conversation. The Allman Brothers came on. So I asked her, who do you like better, Allman Doobies? She's like, I don't really know the Doobies. Oh, here we go. So we started going down the song list. And they're the great.
Jay Berkowitz in the house.
Morning, Jay.
Ready? You telling me the things you're gonna do for me. Now this is Doobie Brothers with Michael McDonald, which for me, this represents an era of my life.
So
Seen them a zillion times.
I saw Michael McDonald at Gulfstream Park.
When I used to represent the sponsorships there.
That's right.
All of those concerts, to get people into racing. So
that was fun.
Those were good times. Every Saturday and Sunday we had concerts and we were backstage. So what's really interesting is that one of the concerts that I took Jake to, I don't know if it was you and me. I think it might have just been Jake. We were sitting right up front as, we were fortunate to do a lot. And the guys in the band were like looking at like, how does this little kid know all of the words to the song? Sure enough, they brought him on stage. He got a pick, and we went back.
Yeah, they gave him the pick. They gave him the guitar pick. I remember that story.
They were super, super awesome. So this week we will be doing Doobie Brothers Week. All of my music, thank you, my dear. All of my music will be Doobie Brothers related, and there's so many that inform what we do, how we do it. If you want to really be good in sales, you got to take it to the streets, my man.
That is exactly right. And excited to be joined by everybody this morning. Shout out to Jim Barrett, who's back in the house. He was missing last week while he was on vacation in Las Vegas. Good morning, Ann. Looking forward to our conversation this week. Ann gets after it. Grinder on the weekend. Sending me tons of stuff so that we're going to be on track for this week. So for those of you that aren't preparing for the week ahead, you're missing out.
For me, I love the weekends because there's not a lot of inbound. It just allows me to focus on me, my brain. I've already prepared the week's worth of content. We were talking about it this morning. Before this morning gets away from us, more birthday shout outs in the huddle. Adam Case, happy birthday to you. And Lisa Broadway from Dex, happy birthday to you. So a big huddle shout out to all you guys. Enjoy your very special day. As is customary on Monday, I'm going to start out with a recap of what we did last week and a reminder that this is all available on podcast now. I actually listened to the podcast and really dug it, man. It really does work. Kyle Kashuk is in the house.
Good morning, Kyle. A good fellow.
So here's a recap. Last Monday, we talked about 50 cups of coffee, and the music was Toby Mac, Move. Tuesday, we did FU Money, which I know, Mark, you posted a lot of that follow-up. And then Basement Jacks was Do Your Thing, Do Your Thing. 68 Bits of Unsolicited Advice, which was a really good conversation for you and me. And a lot of people reached out to get that as a follow-up. Aloe Black, Wake Me Up was the music. Thursday, how to be genuine and authentic on social media. Mark, that was an amazing topic. And you use Coldplay, which the words to that song, following up, the words to that song were spectacular. And then Friday, we talked about email etiquette. What will be interesting is how many of you actually took any of what we talked about last week and put it into practice. And then the song, which a couple people got, Yvonne Garcia, you were great. Bell and James, Living It Up, which brought us right back to the club, with the Bell.
I think just real time example, though, the email etiquette. You took the time to craft a really good email telling somebody that you were no longer interested in engaging in conversations about an opportunity. And because it was written so well and done the right way, got a response right back.
A response like, didn't apologize, didn't say anything. Let's talk. And now I need to make the decision whether I want to take that dance card or not. And when you really do what you do with precision, and Mark, you talked about this in a huddle a couple weeks ago, precision. I do every single time at the plate with precision. This was very calculated. I basically told the guy, I've been courting you for a long time. I'm done. And he said, no. Here's the State of the Union, and here's what we're doing. So Fred Astaire took control. As we like to do each day, come up with some current events, something that's happening in the world that you can share. I'm starting to see more of you take that stuff and push it out in your own social media, and that's great. I love seeing it. Here are 12 movies that are on Netflix that by the end of the month are gone, which means they'll be hard to find, hard to get. You got to buy them, I guess. I don't really know. But I found the article really, really interesting. I'll roll through a couple of them. The one that jumps out at me, which is so appropriate for today, is Bad Boys. I'm sorry, Groundhog's Day.
Groundhog's Day. Also Bad Boys. Both classics. Both classics.
But Groundhog's Day, we're all living every day. I mean, literally, I wake up listening to that Sonny and Cher song every day.
That's awesome.
A couple of good ones there. Jerry Maguire.
Karate Kid. Karate Kid is coming off. And if you haven't gone back and watched Karate Kid in a while, like the lessons that get taught in that movie. We talk about Godfather and all those kinds of things, but like really the fundamental lessons to understanding like wax on, wax off, paint the fence, and how he was teaching him fundamentals through hard work. My favorite movie, I watched that as a VHS. I wore that tape out. I rewound it so many times as a kid.
So here's the interesting thing. I am programmed, conditioned, if you will, to watch every movie and try and pull the sales lessons out of them. And certainly, when you talk about wax on, wax off, it's all about process and repetition. So, I love watching movies with that, as a backdrop. Shout out to Lori Salarillo. I love working with CEOs who consistently want to get better. And man, that talk track in her head, she was like beating herself up trying to get better. We spent a couple hours together, got to see my man Patrick, which was great. If you don't know her son Patrick, he is just a delightful human being and great to be around. So pretty cool. A couple of the other movies that might make sense. I don't know if you remember the movie Candyman. When I was a kid, I watched Candyman. I didn't sleep for a week.
Scary.
Like, holy moly. So, and then the last
shout out to Beth Azer, who talking about the NCAA, most likely talking about football going away this week. For those of you who don't know, the Big Ten is in a conversation right now, and the Pac-12 will probably shortly follow them. And I think it's the best thing. I think the NFL will probably get it right. Watching what the LA Chargers have done and getting a behind the scenes look at how they're going about and the standards they've created in order to mitigate risk. I think the NFL can do it because they have the resources. They're dealing with adults that can actually control every aspect of their life. You're dealing with kids. You don't have the same resources. Not everybody's governed by the same rules. It's almost impossible for the NCAA to do it correctly. So I hope they make the right decision and push it further.
I mean, you're talking about professional athletes versus kids in college. I mean, let's call it what it is. And to push that agenda to play for a monetary reason, to me, is completely asinine. Why there isn't a complete mandate right now? Shut it down, protect kids, let him get through college. Now, it affects Jake in not a great way. I'm not thrilled about that. I'm sure the kids that are in their senior year that will miss the opportunity to play and do whatever, I feel awful for them. But there has to be a solution out there that's better than putting these kids in harm's way. And this is what the world shows you, is that you can't count on anything. It's just crazy.
And that money pushes the subject. Like the NCAA is trying to find any way, schools are trying to find any way to get it done because they just got to have the revenue. But you got to make the right decision at the end of the day.
So Beth Azer, thanks for throwing that out there. Keeping in line with that, big announcement last week, Danny Garcia and Dwayne Johnson, who Danny is his ex-wife, estranged wife, not really sure.
Ex-wife is his partner.
Ex-wife. And
ex-wife is his partner.
And she's a partner at Redbird Capital. They buy the XFL from Vince McMahon for $15 million. They have some real strategy involved in taking some talented people, rooted deeply in two things. This was his reason for getting involved, and this is a lesson for all. Our investment is deeply rooted in two things: my passion for the game and my desire to always take care of the fans. Now, if you know the story behind Dwayne Johnson, the name of his company is called $7. Does anybody know the reason why his company is called $7?
I do. It's because when he was flat broke, all he had left was $7 in his pocket. He had gotten cut from the NFL. He was essentially at rock bottom, no pun intended. But that was the start of his entertainment career. That was him really devoting himself to the next phase of his life when he was done with his football dream and had no money left.
So what the real story is he was actually last stop in Canada. He was playing in Canada, and that was basically going to be his last stop, and he got cut and looked at himself and he goes, I got $7 in my pocket, and look at what that human being has created. The video where he talks to the Los Angeles Lakers is epic. When he talks about athlete to athlete, hey, listen, man, you got to look yourself in the mirror and know. So I thought we would focus on The Rock. I'll give you a little personal story, and then we'll jump into his 10 rules for success. Sort of we'll jump back and forth, Mark. But this is certainly another great takeaway. I do have a slide that if anybody wants, this is really good to put up in front of you. That's what the slide looks like. And I sort of do look like The Rock, don't you think?
Oh, boy. Self-proclaimed.
So I will tell you this, that I worked out in Weston, lived in Weston for years, worked out there. Nobody really knew that he lived there, and he worked out in our gym. He was friends with Terry Kirby, and everybody would kind of go, oh my God, that's The Rock. And he was one of the most gracious human beings ever. He would be working out, but he would engage with other people in the gym, and I was there all the time. And one day he reached out, he goes, so how's your workout going? And I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to The Rock. And this is long before he was The Rock of today, but he's a big dude, very intimidating. So I sort of was a little, sort of shy, if you can imagine, but the conversation really started. We got to bullshitting. And then I said, listen, while I have your ear, can you give me the number one thing that makes you successful? I go, I certainly admire you. I believe success leaves clues. And he just said, I'll outwork everybody in the room. And when I heard that, I was drop the mic. It was really, really incredible. But he has 10. Mark, you want to jump in? I gave you the list. So
sure. I think the first one, be a trailblazer, that really dates back to him being at the University of Miami. He got the opportunity to play with some phenomenal players while he was there, Warren Sapp, and guys that actually changed the game. And when he talks about being a trailblazer, that's exactly what he means by it, is attack the game, attack the profession, attack the activity, in order to actually change the way other people look at it and other people go about doing it. So find new ways, be creative, try to outwork everybody, but outwork everybody in a way that sets you apart not just the best player at the position, but the best to ever do it in a different way.
Love it. Somebody commented, and I don't know because I can't see, but they said, ballers, art imitates life. The Rock buying a football league.
Yep.
There's a lesson just in that comment that if you think it and you dream it, it can happen. And that's exactly what happened to Walt Disney and some of the most famous people we know.
And you better say it. If you think it and dream it, you better say it. You better put it out there.
So it leads us to number 2 on his list, which is so phenomenal. Know what you want. You know, one of the first things I do in all of the coaching, stuff that I do, whether it's with a team or with an individual, I said, what do you want? What does this look like 90 days from now? What do you want to be able to say? What do you want to be able to feel? What do you want to be able to do? Because once you can see it, then we can reverse engineer it, very much like the app Waze. The app Waze doesn't work unless you put in a destination. And I will tell you, most people, 80% of the people, have no idea what they want. They can't tell the universe it doesn't happen.
I love it. The next one is be yourself, which piggybacks off of being authentic and all the things we talk about all the time. But his story about starting in the WWF at that time, now the WWE, and being a villain, Rocky Maivia was a villain for a long time, and he really struggled with that. And the fans didn't like him. And then he approached Vince McMahon and said, look, I'm not being true to who I am as a person. The fans can see it. Nobody likes it. Allow me to be me. Then Rocky Maivia died. The Rock then started, which lifted the WWF far beyond where they thought that they could go production-wise. And, I mean, completely exploded not only his career, but that league. So major point there about being yourself.
Can you remember what his sort of tagline or mantra was?
Oh, if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Can you smell what the Rock is cooking? He would lift his eye in that crazy way.
That's
so
right.
Number 4, he writes about finding the right balance. And so it's really interesting. Try and only do the things you love. That's a very simple mantra. And what I've done, and I think you're doing the same thing, is I have merged the two so that they are one. I don't feel like there's a work-life balance. I have taken my passion for what I do and I made it part of my life. So I don't ever feel like I'm trading one for the other. We live them both. I mean, pure fact, when you and I had dinner, we had the family together the other day, I made the comment, hey, try and not talk about dinner, and everybody said, talk about business.
I think the other part of that is understanding that even if you're doing what you love, it's going to make doing the things that you have to do that you might not necessarily love doing a little bit easier, because the purpose behind doing it and helps you push it through it. So remember, you're not the first one to ever do it. You're not going to be the last one to ever do it. So push through because you're doing what it is that you love to do.
You want to do number 5?
Sure, yeah. So you talked about it, outwork everybody in the room. Number 5 is have an incredible work ethic. And that is persistent, consistent, resilient. Like, you just keep coming back. Just keep going. Don't take no for an answer and absolutely refuse to be turned around. Just keep trying to find ways to get better and learn.
So number 6 is follow your heart. And I think one of the things that people miss out, especially in sales, is to humanize it, is to have empathy, think about what the other person feels like. And so if you live based on what your heart is telling you, that human emotion will drive you the behavior that I think produces the biggest results. And oh, by the way, the biggest income.
Be a human guy. I love when you say that, and it's so perfect. So number 7 is work on yourself. So you talked about it, and shout out to Lori. I wish I could have joined you guys on Friday, but
you didn't show, bro. I'm telling you, she's not happy.
So work on yourself. Lori is looking to get better. She's looking for something. I mean, being a lifelong learner, like you talked about, constantly being able to have somebody identify your blind spots and not being afraid of those growing pains in order to do things to get better. Working on yourself is number 7.
Yeah, and again, I'm inspired by working around people like Lori, who almost to the point of exhaustion, she's driving herself crazy because she's climbed halfway up the mountain and knows that she wants to be the top of the mountain, and what you do to get to the middle of the mountain is going to be different than what you need to do to get to the top. And so a lot of people plant their flag, look back and go, okay, well, I don't really have it anymore. I'm just going to stay here. She's not. And I'm calling her out and I'm speaking it because she's such a shining example of, like I said, hey, listen, sometimes pump the brakes. It's okay to know you're at least recognizing that there's more work to do. Some people just don't even see it. So really, really, really fantastic. So great stuff. Number 8, swing away, man, which means anything's possible. You can do whatever you want. This whole world is pivoted. Anything is possible. You can do whatever you want. There's never been a better. I love that. When you get up to the plate, the guys who win games are the ones who swing the bat.
Right.
So if you're sitting here just looking at pitches come by you, swing the bat. What's the worst that's going to happen?
Swing the bat. Get in the game. Get active. Do something. Take your chance.
He says, get your ass kicked. So what?
Right.
Man? I've gotten my ass kicked a couple of times, and I've called you and said, wow, man, that one kicked my ass. But you know what? So what?
And then you realize as soon as you get your ass kicked, you realize the fear of getting your ass kicked is actually far worse than the feeling of getting your ass kicked.
True. Very, very true.
Swing away. So number 9 is see the potential in others, which I love. Just investing in other people. He talks about a teacher who really changed his life in high school because she knew the potential that he had. She took the time to step away and do something extra for him. Invest in other people. Look at everybody around you. Figure out, and I put this out on Saturday, leading is investing in other people. Gabby and I had a great conversation about this, but invest in everybody around you. You don't have to be in a position of leadership in order to lead. You just have to invest in other people around you in order to be a leader.
So it's 22. I'll bring it home. This was a great way to kick off Monday. Lots of stuff, movies, birthdays, what we did last week, chock full of stuff, talking about great leaders, talking about great stuff. But number 10, and I think probably the most important, and I'll sum it up with what he says. My April Fool's runs the entire year. Have fun. Don't take yourself so seriously. You know what? Wake up in the morning, smile, have some fun, reach out and tell a joke to people. The way we're communicating, we talked about email on Friday. Send a GIF, send an emoji. Some of the ways I've cracked it is just having fun because I'm not interested in what other people think. I'm going to try and make it fun. And if you think that doesn't work for you, I'm okay with that. So there you have top 10. Bam.
Great start to the Monday. Love obviously talking about The Rock. Hope you guys are enjoying the structure of the show, and I'm looking forward to getting after it and continuing on with the week. Let's go.
Today's a big day. I've got a bunch of coaching calls today. Stephen Twatty's in the group. We go live at 9:15, brother. I'm ready. Anybody out there that wants to have a coffee with us, you know how to get on our calendar. But we do this for you. Happy to do it. Stay on the ball and kick this week in the ass.